What's going on, party people? Welcome. Yuri here. I've got the water. I've got my decaf espresso. And today we're talking about how to create 30 days worth of content in just 1 hour. So why is this important to you? Why should you pay attention? Why should you stick with me for the next few minutes? Number one, content is important. Number two, it takes a long time for content to do its thing. So if you're expecting content to produce miracles in the next week or the next month, especially if you have a relatively small following, it's going to be a long haul. Okay. I'm speaking from experience. I've been doing this since 2005, 2006. My previous business, we build our content to, you can see up there a little plaque from YouTube, 300,000 subscribers, 1.4 million visitors on our blog. Content's my gig. I love creating content. And I want to share my process that has facilitated creating a lot of content in a very short amount of time, because content is important. It takes a long time to gain traction. And there's nothing worse than spending all of your time creating stuff that no one sees, right? If you can relate to that, just give me a hell yes in the comments below. So I'm going to be sharing with you a tool on the screen. And again, if you guys want this tool, just type content into the comments below. We'll hook you up. If you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, afterwards, you got to join the Healthpreneur Hub. We'll put a link in the description to get access to this. So anyways, let's dive in without any further ado. And I'll just share my little face up here. So this is called the Social Authority Amplifier. Social Authority Amplifier. The whole idea here is to amplify your social presence. What I'm going to be speaking about here is, I'm just going to zoom out for a second. I want to be very clear about something. There's two different types of content. You have the search-based content, which is how to do push-ups, right? Stuff you would type into Google or YouTube. And then you have social content, which is more interruption-based. We're going to talk about social content. So this is stuff that is not going to be found in Google. It's not going to rank, although in some way, shape, or form, you could reverse engineer it to rank. But the purpose of this is to use native social content that is just easy to distribute and syndicate on whatever social channel you're using. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc. So with that said, I'm not talking about SEO. I'm not talking about that whole game, okay? Because that's a different ball game. I don't recommend you guys play it unless you want to spend a lot of time and a lot of money with very little to show for it for a very long time, okay? So let's dive in. Okay, so there are 5 posts, or think of them as 5 categories at the top here, okay? So just instead of post 1, just think of it as category 1, if that's easier. And each one of them has a topic heading. So we have engage, we have polarize. This is actually, you'll see down here a little bit of a different name. There's a bit of a typo. So we have engage, I'm just gonna make sure you can see this, polarize, we have coach, convert, and inspire. So why do we have 5 different pillars of content categories? And then why do we have all of these little individual boxes underneath? Well, the reason we have this is that there's nothing more boring than how-to content all the time. I talk about this with my clients all the time. Let's just use the example of emails, right? This stuff will apply to your emails as well that you send your audience, your list. If you only send 5 ways to use coconut oil, 3 best ways to do push-ups, how to run faster, like the how-to content stuff, it is so dry and boring, okay? There's one thing I'm going to write down here, and I want you to commit this to memory. This is probably the most important thing you can get from this, is character over content, okay? You need to build your character more than your content, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. People, think of this, like, if you got an email from Brad Pitt, like legitimately, like it was the real Brad Pitt, would you even care what's in the email? No, like you just want to hear from Brad Pitt. Well, I guess I would. Why do talk shows why are talk shows so popular, right? Like people talk about, like, I don't have time to watch this or this webinar, this training. Like, yeah, you do. You watch 3 hours of Netflix at night. So why would we watch Jimmy Kimmel or The Tonight Show? Okay. You get like a Brad Pitt, or you get The Rock, or whoever these actors are. They go on the show, and in some cases, they don't talk about anything. It's just like random back and forth for 10 or 15 minutes. But we're just glued to the television because we're enamored with their character more so than their content. And if you can build your character more than your content, you will do better with your content. So that's the purpose of the social authority amplifier, is it's going to help you build your character more than just, how to make a smoothie. Cool. Okay. So now with that said, this hopefully will make a little bit more sense with respect to the various categories. The various categories we have here. So first and foremost, we have engage. And when I think of, okay, so there's 2 ways of thinking about this. If you look at this sheet and you think of this as a calendar, you essentially have Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Sorry, I forgot Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days a week and 5 weeks out of the month. So 5 times 5 is 25. You have 25 posts right here if all you did was write one idea into each of these boxes. So let's just quickly go through this. All right, so we have engage. Category 1, post 1. And if you want to think about it this way as well, think about if you want to. There's no one way of using this, right? We have post 1, let's call that a Monday. So as an example, we can call this Monday. This can be Tuesday. This can be Wednesday. This can be Thursday. And this can be Friday. Again, you can use this in your Instagram stories, your Facebook posts, your emails, your Twitter posts, whatever you're using, okay? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm just going to use that as an example of how you can use this mnemonic, this sheet, but it doesn't have to be Monday through Friday. I just want to be clear about that. Okay, so let's say on Monday, post 1, we're going to have some type of engagement post. We're going to write something or create something that is engaging. All right, so what does that mean? Hot topic? Well, here's a hot topic. The convoy. How about that? What does that have to do with health? Nothing. Well, I mean, it kind of does in the grand scheme, but nothing, right? Here's another idea. Today, as I'm shooting this, there's no more vax passports in Ontario. So these are very hot topics. Now, you don't have to talk about this stuff. I'm not saying you have to like go to that side and talk about it, unless it's something you're passionate about. You might get shadow banned. So whatever. I'm using this as an example, but it's a hot topic. It's timely. It's on everyone's mind. So you could create a post around this, right? We have some clients that are very, very opinionated and very vocal about what's been happening the past 2 years. And they've cultivated a tribe who hangs on their every word because they're attached to their character, not so much their content. So we have the second page here, which is production prompts, because you're thinking, well, like, how am I supposed to come up with this stuff? So let me give you some ideas. So if we look at engage, here are a couple questions to get you going. What are your thoughts on a hot topic? What bugs you the most about whatever the hot topic is, right? So you can think of whatever's timely, whatever's happening right now, and you can just use those as a way to kind of like get your creativity going. Okay. So the first page is really, you're just going to fill out, 1 or 2 ideas per box. And then if you're not too sure what to put into the boxes, you just go down to the second page and you look for the prompts. So let's go to the second box, which is recommendations and tools. So the second one here, this is a very popular one that I've used, is Vitamix or Blendtec. And here's the cool thing about this. This is more of an engagement post. So this is a great way to get engagement on any of the social platforms. You can use this in Instagram stories. It could be a poll, Vitamix, Blendtec. Which one do you like better? People click on it and drives engagement. More people see your stuff. You can use this on Twitter. I've actually had responses. I've used this in 2 different ways. I've used this on Twitter. I've also used this version with barefoot running shoes, right? Like Vibram versus Vivo Barefoot. Which one do you prefer? And I've actually had responses from the very companies. So in this case, I've actually had responses from Vitamix and Blendtec because I've tagged them like at Vitamix.
And I just say like, hey, like Vitamix or Blendtec, I'm looking to get a blender. Which one do you think is best? Which one do you recommend? Everyone wants to chime in. Everyone wants to be helpful, especially for those who consider themselves health conscious. So that's an example of how you can use a simple engagement question to get some interesting recommendations. Or I'm looking for the best Mexican restaurant in New York. Like, what do you recommend, right? Something to engage your audience, because the name of the game, it's not just the content you put out. Like you need to make it a two-way street as much as possible. You have to get people engaging. Here's an example. If you're enjoying this, just give me some hearts. I want to see some hearts fluttering up on the screen here, or give me a thumbs up if this is useful so far, right? That would be an example of thank you, right? Getting some love here. Just keep the love going, right? The more love we get here, the more people are going to see this, and the more people we can help, and the more people they can help, because your amazing magic is helping more people. Okay. Thank you guys. Appreciate the love, and just keep the hearts going like for the next 10 minutes nonstop. Let's just blow up Facebook. So anyways, I'm not going to go through every single one of these in detail. You get the point. Again, if you want the sheet, just type content in the comments and we'll hook you up. Okay, another one is rant. So you'll notice that there's some overlap between hot topic and rants, right? I did a video a couple days ago about it was about price. What was it? It was about pricing and biz model. Like it was something along the lines of like, don't talk about wanting to help a lot of people if you're not willing to. I can't even remember what it was. Whatever it was, it was like really I was working out. I'm like, this is really bothering me, and it was a rant, and I just kind of let it percolate, and then I created some content around it. Poll, like again, very similar to recommendations here. A poll could be, are you a dog or cat person? Like sometimes, you can play with some fun stuff like this. Should I go with like the brown hair today or the blonde hair? Like just like have a little bit of, just be fun. And I think this is so important for health professionals, because we tend to be a little bit more serious because, we want to be all credentialized and stuff. But I think if you just have fun with it, and I think honestly, TikTok and the pointing videos on Instagram, although they drive me crazy, I think there's an element of like lightness that those have brought to, more serious topics like thyroid issues, right? So I think it's cool to just have fun with that. But listen, I've never done a pointing video. I've never done a dancing video. Is that me? No. But what it does do is it drives me crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a rant or create a rant around that thing. Now, for people who are like, no, but that's my jam, guess what? We polarize. We move away from each other. But for other people who are like, I totally agree with you, man, I can't stand that nonsense, those people are attracted. And this is the key, right? Character over content. You have to share marketing. I'm going to zoom in for this. Marketing is about getting people to see the world the way you want them to see the world. Marketing is about sharing your beliefs more than what you know. It's about sharing your opinions and your philosophy. And when you do that, everything changes in your business. Now you create a category of one. Now there's no competition. People want to work with you because they resonate with who you are at your core. Not because of like some differentiator you have with your program, but because of who you are. And people buy coaches, not coaching. Okay, so back to the list. So we have poll, and then this just in. So this is just stuff that's, more engaging. You're getting people involved. The second category, or the second on Tuesdays in this example, is polarizing. And this, again, there's a little bit of crossover here, but I think it's just a nice categorization to help you delineate some of the stuff in your mind. So the first one is origin. So if we go down to the production prompts here, what's something that, that's not it. There we go. What's something that happened to you when you were young that shaped who you are, what you do now? Or why do you do what you do? So my origin story is I lost my hair when I was 17 to an autoimmune condition, right? That's what got me into health. That's why I do what I do, because I love helping people. And then I just, went on that journey for many years and then helped, tons of people. And then people started asking me about business advice. And then, Healthpreneur came, blah, blah, blah. So your origin story. Most people don't care about you, right? They care about themselves. But there is some time to talk about like where, like they want to know, like, can I relate to you? Okay, weakness. This is a great one, right? Anytime you can humanize yourself, like you kind of chop yourself down a little bit, it just makes you more relatable. So what's a weakness? Well, one of my weaknesses, and I talked about this on a podcast last week. They're like, talk to me about your nutritional journey. I was like, honestly, I was crazy before and now I'm super liberal. In fact, just before we got on, I had an espresso and a Lindor chocolate. Cool. So like my weakness is donuts. I went for a walk yesterday because I wanted to get a donut. That's a true story. So when you can share the kinks in the armor, you become more relatable. And again, that just makes you a more attractive character. What do you stand against? All right, well, this could be very fun, right? There's a lot of stuff you could stand against. I stand against the grind. I stand against the hustle. There's a time and place for it, but not forever. What do I stand for? Thinking, just in general. I think there's been a little bit of lack of thinking the last 2 years. Working smarter instead of harder, building systems and assets instead of just, fleeting things that don't last, delivering exceptional experiences for your clients, right? Stuff like that. Quirks. All right, well, what are some quirks? I love Zoolander. I love Nacho Libre. Like the stupider the movie, the funnier I think it is. And that's just one of my things. So the second column of polarizing is not so much polarizing as it is, like you'll see down here, entertaining. And it's kind of one and the same, where you're just kind of sharing a little bit more of who you are, letting people in, and etc. Okay, so the third column here is really where we start getting to the typical content, the how-to. I got this question, here's an answer to it. So we have hashtag ask. I just got this question asked of me the other day. Here's the question, here's my answer. Mistakes, 3 common mistakes people make with their morning routine, right? 3 common mistakes people make, with their bedtime routine. Like all that type of stuff, like any kind of list is always going to do well for the most part. Model. If you have a model of how you do what you do, sorry, I'm just going to close my blinds because I'm getting blinded by the sun. Okay, if you have a model for, that describes how you do what you do, you can draw it out. So, in our case, we have our perfect client pipeline, right? So I can map that out. We also have our 3 Ps, which is, I'm not going to go into detail here, but whatever. So you can have different models. If you use that stuff, if you don't, that's totally fine as well. Again, you've got prompts all the way down here for, for stimulating ideas. How to, so how to lose weight, how to get up early in the morning when the last thing you want to do is get out of bed, like on and on and on. Okay. So lessons, rules, takeaways. I love this one because I think there's content every single day around you. So when you are thinking of what happened yesterday, okay, what's a lesson I can learn from yesterday? What's a takeaway I can bring from yesterday into today and create some content around it? A lot of my content is based on lessons and takeaways from a lot of my coaching with my clients or things that happen to me in life, because there's so many beautiful things that we can learn and then extrapolate into lessons and teachings that might be valuable to others. So this is kind of the traditional content, if you want to think of it that way. Then on Thursday, or post category 4, we have convert. And convert is a little bit more specific to now a call to action. I'm a big believer of this, guys, give in public, sell in private. Because here's one thing I've realized is that whenever you promote something on social, it doesn't work. Have you guys ever found that? Just give me a thumbs up or a heart if you've ever found when you've overtly promoted something, like, hey, ticket to this event, or I'm doing this thing, and you've posted that, typically the response and the engagement is a lot lower than if you posted something else. Am I the only one who's seen that? Maybe I'm an anomaly, but if you can relate, just hit some hearts. So the convert piece needs to be done very judiciously and strategically. Not like conniving, but strategically, just really thinking about this. I want to share a concept with you that I learned from my friend Dean Jackson, who I think is one of the smartest marketers on the planet. And he uses this concept called the cheese and whiskers. And I actually think he had a podcast or a book called Cheese and Whiskers. And this is, I think if you understand this will categorically change how you promote stuff. Is
The mouse loves cheese, right? But the mouse is afraid of the whiskers, the cat. So if you think of your prospects want what they want. They want the cheese, but you are the cat, at least initially, because there's this fear of I'm going to be sold, or they're going to like corner me into a corner and like pressure me into buying something. So when you are making offers to anyone, you always have to think about, here's the cheese. Is the cheese really the cheese, or is it like a crumb? Like, does someone really want this? And if they do, are there whiskers right beside it? Because if we're thinking to ourselves, what's the catch here? This seems too good to be true, or you're about to sell me something. If you can think from the prospect's perspective, it's going to help your marketing like just immensely more. And again, it's not about being deceitful or anything like that. It's just about understanding what people want, which is what they want. And if you can lead with that, then you can just happen into a conversation that moves from there. But it should never be about, I'm doing this thing, it's going to be awesome, I think you should come. And I listen, like I'm as guilty as anyone else. Like I've done a lot of this stuff, right? Where I'm like, I think my stuff is amazing, you should do it. And everyone's like, dude, I don't care about your stuff. Because that's the reality. No one cares about your stuff, about my stuff. They care about their stuff, yours, like ourselves. So we always have to be able to position our stuff, especially when it comes to offers, in a way that is of benefit to them. As much cheese with as little whiskers as possible. Okay, so under the convert side of things, we have invitation. So invitation could be like, I'm hosting a free thing, or, whatever. Case study. Again, I'm not going to go into the specifics of this because I think this category here is very nuanced. Like there are very, very effective ways of doing this and not effective ways of doing this. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into the details of all the messaging and stuff here because it'll take us forever. But a case study is, like, hey, I'm putting together a group of people looking to do this. If you want in, let me know. Project is, you could give a little bit of and this actually ties in with this one as well, a bit of a sneak peek of like something you're working on. You kind of get people involved in the process so they feel a sense of ownership and they may want to be involved. And then obviously social proof, right? Testimonials, before and afters, all that kind of stuff is huge, huge. Like, listen, you can't run ads with before and afters, okay? But all of your social stuff, like you could just before and after it forever. So use a lot of social proof because we're in a day and age where people are so skeptical and they're so jaded and they're so burned that, and this is part of the Amazon or the Yelp culture where we're always looking for 100% reassurance before we do anything. And we see like 1,000 5-star reviews, but then there's like one star and like, oh, I knew it, scammer, right? Whereas a bad product because that one person had a bad review and there's 1,000 5-star reviews. You got to be very careful of that, but this is the way most people think. So you have to be able to alleviate those concerns with a tremendous amount of social proof. Now, also remember, keep in mind that social proof, if you don't have a lot, can be overcome by everything else we're doing here. Especially if you don't have a lot of social proof, you need to show people that you're friggin' good at what you do. And the easiest way to do that is by sharing content, right? And specifically like tactical stuff that people can use. Because if they can get a quick win with something you're teaching, they're going to think, well, this person's pretty good. Okay, so that's on the convert side. And then the final category in this case on Fridays, and just to be clear, guys, we're not saying like 5 posts per day. I'm saying like choose one of these to go out on Monday. Choose one of these to go out on Wednesday. Okay. On Friday, it's more about inspiration. So what's your vision? What's the vision you're looking to create with your business? So what's the legacy you want to leave? Against all odds, what's the time in your life where someone, one of your clients was up against it and they turned it around. One of our clients was, negative 40. I share the story all the time. $40,000 in the hole before they came to us in November 2019. They're like, man, this makes sense. They started with us. 3 months later, when the pandemic hit, they were doing $352,000 per month. They're now doing close to $5 million per month. Not even 2 years after they started with. Sorry, just over 2 years after they started with us, right? That's a pretty cool story to share. It also ties in with social proof. Raise the bar, right? As a coach, you can challenge people to be more of who they're really meant to be instead of settling. I think mediocrity personally is the biggest virus in the world. It's the biggest pandemic, right? Settling, mediocrity, status quo, life is okay. I think that's a big problem, okay?
That's my personal point of view. So I'm going to challenge people to raise the bar. Don't settle, right? There's so much more. Courage. You know, what's the time where you had courage? What's the time where a client of yours had courage? You know, when I lost my hair, I regrew it. Then I lost it again after getting a shot about 10 years ago. Then I painted on my eyebrows for 2 years. And then one day I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not wearing the makeup anymore. And I shot a YouTube video to my audience. And it was like the scariest moment of my life. And it's like, really? Like shooting a video was the scariest moment in your life? At the time it was. And it required a lot of courage of me. Obviously, there's way bigger examples of courage. But, you know, just share what you can, right? Let people know you're a real human. And then finally, who's your team? Who are the people around you? Family, friends, colleagues? You know, who can you shout out? Who can you give some love to? So these are 25 different ways of creating, again, about 30 days worth of content in about an hour. So here's how you do this. Again, you've got the production prompts all down here. And this is honestly, here's how I normally would do this when I was traveling, is I love working on airplanes because I don't connect to Wi-Fi. And what I would do is I would take this out and I'll sit on the airplane. I'll just look out the window. That's where I get all my best ideas. And then I'll just write stuff in the boxes, right? So I'll write down, you know, hair loss. All right, cool. Prompt. Now I'm going to create something around that. Weakness, donuts. Stand against, let's just call it stupidity. Stand for, speed. Not the drug, but being speed, being fast, getting things done quickly. So these are just all like little prompts. And again, I might elaborate on this a little bit, but the idea here is that you have this one-page tool that has all of your ideas now. And just before we finish, I want to share how you take this stuff and then actually create the content. So before I do that, has this been valuable for you guys? If so, just give me a thumbs up as I grab a sip of my decaf espresso, which is now like cold. Awesome. Cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate the feedback. All right. So what I'm going to share here is how I develop content. And this is going to be different for everyone, but I think this is probably the easiest. So let me share this and we'll wrap things up in just a moment. But not before I share this with you guys. Okay. So I call this, I don't even know what I'm calling this. We'll call this like the waterfall propagation method or something. Who knows? So what I do is I look at my list and I'm like, okay, cool. Today I'm going to talk about, well, typically I don't really talk about the political stuff because it's just energetically draining, but let's just use an example of hair loss. Okay. So today or whenever I'm shooting this stuff, I'm going to create something on hair loss. Now, for me, I'm naturally very lazy. Like I'm exceptionally lazy. I don't like writing. I love doing video. So I will start with video. And for me, what it looks like, here's an example. This training is a video. And what's going to happen from this is then going to get repurposed into an audio, which is going to go up into our podcast. And then from this video, we're going to chop all sorts of little 30 to 60 second clips that we will use on the TT, the TikTok, and the IG. Cool. And then from these, this is even one layer deeper, from these, or even from the main video, these become emails and social post captions. Cool. That's it. I mean, that's really how I do things. And it all starts because here's the thing. This is why, like, you know your stuff. If all I need is like weakness, donuts. Cool. Let me shoot a quick video on donuts. Now I'm not going to create a 15-minute video on donuts, but I might create a longer thing on pricing and business models. So that becomes a valuable training that starts off as a video. For us, that goes to YouTube. I'm not saying you need to have a YouTube channel or a podcast. I did not have any of this stuff for 3 years when I started Healthpreneur. All we did until we were more than $1 million and well beyond that was our perfect client pipeline. This is all we did. And this is something I want to remind you guys of, is if you don't have a predictable system for getting clients, this is where you need to start. The content is like back burner, long-term activity. It's very good. It's very helpful. But if you need clients right away, you got to focus on like client demand, client generation, which is where a perfect client pipeline can come in. So once, like we're beyond, several million in revenue, Now we have all the, like more resources, assets, team. And that's why we have, we're a little bit everywhere, right? So we have the YouTube channel, we have the podcast, TikTok, Instagram, but it all starts from one piece of content. This is the thing, is like, I'm not creating like a video and then I'm not shooting another audio and then I'm not shooting 3 separate videos and then writing all sorts of different things. This is all flowing from one, in this case, a 30-minute video. Now, in a lot of cases, my videos are much shorter than this, but this is Tactical Training Tuesdays, so it's a little bit more hands-on, a little more deep dive. So there you have it, guys, 30 minutes. I want to cut it off here. I don't want to, go much longer. I also want to respect your time and bandwidth. So that is the Social Authority Amplifier. That is how you create 30 days worth of content in 1 hour. And again, I just want to reiterate that the most important work is done in the preparation. It's done in the planning. It's done in the thinking, which is this. The actual shooting of the content, the actual creation of the content is going to vary. If you're a writer, it's going to take longer. If you shoot videos, it's going to be a few hours. But the genesis of all of this takes no more than an hour. In fact, filling the sheet out will take you 15 to 20 minutes. You do this once a month, you have your month, your quarter mapped out, okay? So anyways, that is that. I hope this has been helpful for you guys. If you want the resource, the Social Authority Amplifier, so if you want this 2-page document with the production prompts and the actual schedule that you can use over and over again, just type content into the comments below and we'll send you a DM with the download. Again, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube or anywhere else, if you're not inside the Healthpreneur Hub, get inside the Healthpreneur Hub, because this is where the download is, okay? We'll include a link in the description for that if you're not in here. So that's all from me today, guys. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Keep sharing your awesomeness. People need to hear from you. You have magic. Just keep letting it out, okay? If it doesn't produce results today, tomorrow, next month, next year, just keep doing it. But make sure you have another foundation that is bringing clients in, because this stuff is important. But if it's not going to make, if it's not going to bring in the beef, the bacon right now, it's going to be a challenge. So anyways, love you guys. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day.